welcome to another edition of the 60 Minutes with Fatu. We hope that you enjoyed the editions that we had for you, and we have some more coming up. We have very interesting interviews lined up for you. And today I have Alhaji Mamadi Kurang. I'm sure you all know Alhaji Mamadi. He is the founder of Jollof Tutors, a financial consultant, and he was the then secretary of the Janneh Commission. Kurang also founded the Gambia Youth for Change movement before he joined the PDOIS. We will talk about all of this, and we'll also talk about the Janneh Commission that was established in 2017. It started work in June, and the report was out in 2019. Actually, the commission was established in 2017, and the report came out in 2019. Alhaji worked with them for a year, and then that was it for him and the commission. We're going to be talking about all of that. I would like to welcome you to the program, Alhaji.
Thank you very much, Fatu. I say hello to all your listeners, and I'm very pleased to be invited to this program to share my experience with your viewers, and looking forward to a very interesting interview.
Well, thank you very much. We are going to start with politics. I know you to be the founder of Jollof Tutors, and then you came into politics. What inspired you to go into politics?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you get inspired in politics, it has to be a combination of circumstances, your experience, and what is happening at that very moment. You know, I have always been an activist. I've always been interested in things that affect my society. When I left university, I worked in the bank for a while, and decided to go into social entrepreneurship, setting up a school and training young people. It wasn't because I was interested in the financial per se or such, but I was interested in seeing something different in the country, in making a change and an impact, particularly on the young people in this country. That motivated me to set up Jollof Tutors 20 years ago. Being in teaching for 20 years and being active in the lives of the young people of this country, I've witnessed a lot. We witnessed the Janneh regime. Obviously, I have never been politically associated, at that moment. But when the transition happened, democracy came in. Not that we have been quiet. In our own way, we've been doing things and following and supporting people like you on the online media and so on. But when the changes happen, everybody have to see you reposition yourself and see what to do. And since I've always had the interest to see change, in my society, I have been in the classroom for 20 years. I had to ask myself what next to do, and I felt that I could make more difference, being in the classroom, being outside the classroom after staying in there for 2 decades. And I thought of if I go into politics, I have something to offer, and I have something unique to offer.
But when you decided to join a political party, I mean, expectations were high that you were going to join UDP. For some reason, I know you know these things. I really don't have to go into details. You're from Kudang, you're a Mandinka man. Of course, a lot of people were thinking, okay, Kurang will come to UDP, and then PDOIS. Why PDOIS?
Well, in 2021, when the election was coming, and we had this IEC issue, and some of us were not allowed to contest. It was a moment of fundamental decision making. Because for me and for some of us, it's like, here is our country going through a very critical, stage of its political life, and you cannot sit on the fence. I was thinking at the time, so I had to make a decision. And the decision, in a way difficult, in a way not difficult, because as you said, there is social pressure, where you come from, and where some of the family members, cousins, brothers, political party they're supporting. But, obviously, politics is beyond that. And, the national interest is always what comes before any other interest. I was approached, by some individuals to join some political parties. Some people were making arguments like, oh, if you go to the NPP, they would finance you and maybe they will give you a position. And others were saying, oh, the UDP has an opportunity to win the election. And for me at that time, and for some of my supporters that were the young people that I was with, you know, it was a question of what is good for the country. And at that moment, I did not see so much difference between what the NPP had to offer and what the UDP has to offer.
You mean there was not much difference?
No, there wasn't much difference because we had 2017 and we had a coalition government. And you could say that most of the people obviously left the coalition government and left the UDP and the NPP in there, or the UDP and Barrow in there for almost 2 years to 3 years, right, before the coalition finally it's over. But, you know, within that period, the question was there any fundamental difference in principles between what Barrow stands for and what the UDP stands for? I didn't see any. There may be personal differences. There may be personal conflicts here and there, you know, but that did not show me any difference in philosophy between the two. So when it comes to a matter of choice, if I was contesting to say that Barrow must come down, or I want to remove Barrow, I want to get to something, if I am to endorse, that's a little bit different.
The UDP had their 5-point agenda, and, you know, they had their own programs that I guess were completely different from Barrow. Did you get a chance to go through all of that?
Yeah, I have seen the 5-point agenda, and I have listened also to the NPP Millennium, etc. agendas.
But you were not impressed.
I still don't see any difference because the 5-point agenda was about maybe things that they want to do in specific sectors. But it did not come from a difference in fundamental, right, principle, right, approach to how to change the country and how to develop the country. There was no fundamental difference between the NPP and the UDP. Yeah. So when we, Youth for Change was the organization I had, the youth movement we had, and we were saying change, and change for the better. Obviously, systems change was basically what we were also asking for.
PDOIS offered that.
Exactly. I'm a systems accountant. So when I see changes, I've seen changes in 2016, 2017, and I was, you know, vocal, you know, at that stage, even when the UDP was in government. So the change that we were aspiring for, the change in system, the change in the political economical system, and civil society, how to run the government of the country, right, I saw it more in the PDOIS, right, than I saw it in the other parties.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of times people would tell you, like you said, somewhere saying to you, UDP will win. So at least there was hope that UDP could win and NPP could win. You went to PDOIS, where I'm sure people would tell you they would not win.
Yeah, I mean, that people say, you know, at that moment, like...
but you thought they would win?
Yeah, I believe that at that time that, you know, the party I was supporting was going to win the election, and I was doing it with the heart that, you know, yes, we had to win this election. Of course, we've seen crowds before, and, you know, they had bigger crowds, the NPP and UDP.
Yes.
But when you're a politician, you don't let that influence you, because then you would simply be a crowd follower. So, yes, there was some people who said that, oh, go with the party that is going to win. But I didn't think that politics is about just go with the party that's going to win just because it is going to win.
So after all of that is done and is dusted, NPP is in government, they're going to be here until 2026. Are you going to change, or you're still going to be with PDOIS?
Well, I'm not planning to join any other party before 2026. I'm still in the PDOIS, and I don't think any party is perfect. I think PDOIS obviously has got its own issues. So, but, you know, as it is, you know, I want to be where I am and then see what the future brings.
There is not much we're hearing now about PDOIS. And I saw comments on Facebook, people going to the extent of saying PDOIS has died down. Nobody hears about PDOIS again. Not Halifa or not Honorable CDA Jatta. I know he was in Ohio to receive an award. That was all that we heard about him, but nothing about PDOIS as a party. Is PDOIS dead?
No, it's not that. I mean, I think CDS award is showing that, well, people, when you do a good work, it cannot ever be forgotten. I'm going to the airport tonight, possibly, to meet him. But, you know, obviously, parties can have low profiles during the off season in the political, and then obviously there is expectation that there will be a transition, you know, and you know, they have been very active in politics for 35 years, and I think they are not people who quite. They are no more in the parliament. Obviously, in the last dispensation, they were in the parliament. Yes. So every 2 days, you know, you would hear Sidia or you would hear Halifa. They are no more in the parliament, but I think yes, they are still hard. Active. And PDOI is working on the ground. We are doing a lot of politics on the ground, and obviously getting prepared for 2026.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's see how that is going to go. But there is this debate on social media right now about all the politicians stepping aside to let young people like yourself come in. What is your take on that? Do you think that it is time for the lawyer Ousainou Darboes, the Halifa Salehs, the CDA Jattas, and Barrow, after doing 10 years, you think it's time for them to step aside?
Yeah, I think, you know, Barrow is the president. We have to speak about him and his political party. I think it is the right thing for him to do is to end his term at the end of the second term and not to seek for a third term. Well, nobody says his party cannot seek for a third term, but he himself should, because the mandate of 2 terms is becoming an international phenomenon. And anything outside that is looking a little bit out of place.
So you think even though Gambia did not sign for a 2-term for president term limits. I remember when they had that meeting at ECOWAS, it was only Gambia and Togo that did not sign. So for Barrow to go, I think it will be at his own discretion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it will be at his own discretion because we have a law that says he can serve as many terms as possible. And however, he is committed to some of the promises that he has given. And I think he will be judged based on the promises that he has given the people. He's promised the 3 years. Well, that didn't go, right? And then it went to 5 years, now 10 years. But also he's promised a new constitution.
Yes.
And people are expecting that, you know, there was a First Republic Jawara, Second Republic Janneh, which is still going on. If a republic is about a new constitution, so we are waiting for a third republic, which we have been singing, and Barrow has not been able to deliver. And I think one of the things that is holding the implementation of the new constitution or the introduction of the new constitution is about the term limit. And I think Barrow should take the bull by the horn because he's promised people and introduce a constitution that includes a third limit because it's about his legacy. I think there is no other bigger. He can build roads, he can build airports. Every president build roads and airport. But the past two presidents have brought in new constitutions. He hasn't done that yet. Yeah. I think he should try to make sure that in his legacy, he has a new constitution and no better time to do it than at this term, before we get to 2026. The other political parties, I cannot speak for the UDP because they have their own way of saying.
For PDOIS, we still have Halifa.
For the PDOIS, we still have Halifa, yes, but Halifa has given his voice that he is going, that will be his last term to contest, which is 2021. And I think, yes, it's reasonable to assume that he is going to hand over before 2026.
Do you think he will hand over to Sidia?
No, I don't. Sidia is not going to contest.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said that, and yeah, I know he's told me that. Sidia was the candidate for the PDOIS when Jawara was here.
Are they going to put you up as their next candidate, presidential candidate?
Well, we will see. I think that will be decided by the membership.
If they put you up, would you accept?
Well, I will be honored to represent the party, right? Yes.
So yeah, we've seen the recently concluded presidential election in Senegal where Diomaye Faye emerged as the winner of the elections. And this has inspired a lot of young people around the world. I'm not only going to say Africa because he's really trending on all news sites, both local and international. Do you think that the sample that they use, the positive method, do you see that working in the Gambia? I know they were a bit radical, but they actually got what they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously one would have to look at the scenarios. You know, in Gambia, Senegal, sometimes it's oranges and oranges, but sometimes it's oranges and mangoes. So we may not be able to compare them at times, but obviously it's a great thing. It was a phenomenon and an exceptional record for them to go and win this election in a landslide, and everybody deserves to be excited about it, right? In the Gambia here, obviously, it has brought in more desire for people, young people and everybody, to see that there are changes. And, you know,
and
people
can
exactly,
be yeah.
People have, and they have a vision. Obviously, when I look at some of the things that Pastev is talking about, I mean, some of us, we have it already. Because I hear them saying, oh, we're going to protect whistleblowers. We're going to make positions to be based on capability, not to be based on... These were things that they were preaching, right? In our country here, if you blow the whistle, you're finished. So there are even some parties that are vying for a state house. They don't believe in transparency. They don't believe in people coming out with information or issues that would embarrass the government when they were in government. So you have to believe in some fundamental principles, right, for you to be able to roll out what Diomaye and Ousmane Sonko roll out for the Senegalese people.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to talk about the Janneh Commission. I know this is something that there are still loads of questions that are not answered. I have seen the MP, the Member of Parliament for Kansala, Jiba. He's been asking a lot of questions. And sometimes the government would say, no, we're not going to give this information. We would not tell you. And then he will come back again, and now he's working on suing the government, getting a power of attorney from former President Yahya Jammeh. But first, we're going to start with, how did you become the secretary to the commission? How did that happen? Was this something that was advertised and then you applied, or you were handpicked?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I got a call from the Justice Minister, invited me. Yeah, that was Batambedu. Okay. You know, of course, we'd known each other. We went to school together at the same time. So when they called me to the ministry, I think what they said to me at that time was like, well, we were looking for somebody with a specific profile, and that profile seems to match your profile. Right? Number one, they said they were looking for somebody who did not serve directly in the Jammeh government. Okay. And I did not serve in the Jammeh government because I was in private practice, right? Two, they were looking for somebody, right, who maybe was not directly a victim of Jammeh, that he would have a vendetta against Jammeh when he's investigating.
Yes, and then that would cloud.
Yes, of course, everybody have issues, but I didn't have that much issue. Yeah, I was detained once and so on, but then I didn't have that personal thing with Jammeh or anything at that level. So there was nothing for me to say, I'm going, every Gambian wants justice. I'm more interested in justice than any other thing, right? And number three, they said they were looking for somebody who has an understanding about finance, right? Not only an understanding. Yeah, I'm an economist and I'm a chartered accountant. So, and not only an knowledge about finance, but because as secretary, you are generally the back office of the commission. You don't run the administration behind the scenes. So it has to be somebody who has an experience to do that kind of thing. And I'm an entrepreneur. I set up an institute, and I'm a consultant. I go to businesses and organizations. I tell them how to run things. So they know I can set it up, and then I can run it, and then put people in where they're supposed to be to do things in the administration. So based on these facts, they said, they approached me if I'm interested to serve. I said, yeah, it would be a pleasure for me to serve in the commission. This is how I became the secretary to the Janneh Commission.
And then you served for 1 year, and then you were let go. I heard there was a petition that you wrote to them. So how did that even happen? Did they let you go, or you had a fight, an argument? I mean, not physical, but like an argument with someone, and that was the reason why they let you go. How did that happen?
Well, I was, there were obviously disagreements, about some fundamental things that were...
Is it between you and the whole commission or between you and some certain individuals?
Well, between me and individuals in the commission.
Okay. A few, not one individual.
Yeah, I mean, maybe...
A few individuals.
Maybe, I could say maybe one, but obviously if it is one, it can be few, because people take sides. When these things happen, a commission is about 5 people basically, 3 commissioners, 1 secretary, and a council. So people can take sides when there is a dispute between 2 people. And obviously the minister called me, the Batambedu, and said that, well, we think that you've done a great job, you've sacrificed a lot, but because of the relationship or what is happening in the commission, we want you to resign. I said, well, you made your judgment, right? I haven't done anything wrong. I feel that what I have done is what I should do under the circumstances. And then when I look at it today, I'm vindicated about what's happened. And he said to me, well, we need you to resign. I said, but if you have made up your mind, you have come up with the conclusion, you've done your analysis as the Justice Minister, right? You go ahead and do what you want to do. You don't have to tell me to preempt something. You go ahead and do. And then the following day, he went to the radio and said, well, the secretary to the commission, his term is untenable. I think that's the word he used.
So did you, at that time, did you put in your resignation already?
No, I hadn't put in my resignation. And I hadn't received any letter. It was after he made that statement, right?
That he spoke to you?
No, he spoke to me first. He called me in his office and spoke to me.
And then went to the radio.
I think that was like psychologically pressuring me to resign, so that it would look like people will say, oh, he resigned. There would be no explanation on their part. And I don't want to take responsibility at that time. He's the one, it is the government, or him, the Justice Minister, who is asking me to resign. So he has to go and tell people, right, why he forced me to resign, or why he wants to force me to resign, or why he would dismiss me. Or
did he explain that at that time?
He didn't come up with any specific point, because I don't think that time he was ready to challenge me on the facts.
So what really went wrong? What happened?
The facts that were there.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, in a commission, everybody is sworn in. Not everybody, but those who are sworn in are sworn in.
Yeah, you were sworn in.
I was sworn in 3 times. I had an oath of secrecy, I had an oath of loyalty to the country, and another type of oath. So
the issue that happened, I know where you're trying to go. It's like I cannot disclose a certain information because I had to take an oath, right?
Well, at that time, I'm just explaining about the circumstances at that time. Yeah. Well, now, I mean, even then, I'm always free to talk about anything.
I just wanted to know what really happened that would get the minister to that point. Because like you said, when a conflict happened, it's usually between 2 people.
Yes.
And then did he ask you first before asking for a resignation and say, oh, I had this is going on. Can we hear your side of the story?
Yes.
That happened.
He has got my memo, which I wrote against the council, the lead council.
Oh, so it was a memo that you wrote?
Yeah, I wrote a memo to the lead council at that time, and obviously it didn't go down well with him at that time, and also obviously the people who received the memo. So based on that, that was why he came up with the proposal that I should resign.
But then you were working right there with what did he say, the council? The council.
Yeah.
You were all working there together.
Yeah.
And you wrote a memo.
Yeah.
So you did not want to go to her office maybe and sit down and talk to her?
No, we wrote memos. We constantly write to each other.
You're all working together.
Oh, yes. You see, when you are in the commission, every document there, every information there is not for you.
You want to make sure
everything that we do, we write. So I was the link between the commissioners and the lawyers. I was the link. Yes. I was the link also between the commissioners and the government, right, to some extent. And I was the link between the commissioners and the public, like the journalists and so on. Yes. So, but every correspondence between the commissioners and the lawyers is written, even though the other office is there and the other office is there. And that is not, that is proper.
So you mean you all never had an opportunity to sit down and like have a meeting?
We always talk.
Yeah,
we always have meetings. We see every day.
I was thinking that would work best sometimes. than writing letters. Like some things that you want for it to be on record, you can put those in a memo. But for instance, if there is something that someone did in an office setup, I was thinking maybe face-to-face talk.
Yeah, I mean,
more.
it's face-to-face happens, emails happens, but sometimes when the issues are specific and important, they have to be documented. I think that was the case.
So what happened? What was it that you didn't like? What was the issue that led to you resigning?
Well, you know, at the time, you see, as the secretary, my responsibility was running the office, running the administration, taking care of the evidences and all the documents that were coming in, giving them to who they should be given to and the time they should be given. And also, I was responsible for any other instruction given to me, because that's what the Constitution says. If you are the secretary to the commission, you implement what the commissioners decide. So I was given a mandate to implement orders. And some of those orders where the commission gave orders about Janneh's kettles, they gave orders about Janneh's vehicles, right, and etc. Those are the kind of orders. They said, well, this and this is determined by this, and this is what we want to do. We want to sell this, we want to dispose this, we want to give this back to, those are called orders, instructions. So when the instructions are given, the commissioners never go out. They always sit there and give the order.
So you did not like that?
No, that's not a problem. I have no problem with that. I love that, because that's my job.
So what was it that you did not like?
What precipitated, I think we had the cattles, right? And there was an order
Janneh's cattle.
for Janneh's cattles. And my office was responsible for executing it, which means to go to Kanilai and the other places. The cattles were in Kanilai, there were some cattles in Fatu, and there were cattles in opposite the airport where they have Jawara's Garden. Yes. They used to call it Jawara's Garden. This is what I remember.
So it was in 3 places.
Yeah, it was in 3
Abuko, yeah, at Fatu, yeah, and at Jawara's Garden.
At Jawara's Garden. So we were asked to go and do the inventory, right, and organize a sale, because the commission came, visited Kanilai about 8 months after the change Janneh left. So when they visited, we visited all the cattle farms, right, that were in Kanilai and so on, Fatu, and we were asked to actually, we briefed by the securities, this is this, this is this. So the order is to go and do an inventory and number them.
Know
right?
how many cattle
are there, and then her numbers and the categories and so on. And also to organize a sale, because it was reported that these cattle were going missing since Janneh left. You know,
really?
And nobody could deny that, because when you go, some of the cattle in Kanilai, they are scattered. Right? How they say it.
And maybe right? They were not even eating. Like, who was taking care
That's
of
what
them?
I mean. I saw with my own eyes some of the camels dying of starvation. I saw the wolves, right? They were dying of starvation.
They had wolves?
Yeah, they had wolves in there.
So you took inventory of the wolves too?
Well, we saw them. The commission saw them. So obviously everything we saw, we documented. Yes. We organized for the wildlife, horses and donkeys. They came because the wolves were very hungry and they were aggressive. So we organized, I arranged that, and the horse and donkeys, the people, the veterinary, they came, they started giving meat to these wolves, and they calmed down. They called me and said, oh, Alaji, can you imagine we can now touch the wolves? So, you know, they were going hungry. The horses were going hungry inside Kanilai. Who is going to be giving meat to the lions and all that, or the crocodiles when Janneh is not there? The soldiers don't have the money to do that,
no,
and the state was not prepared. So it was called wasting of assets and depreciation on a mass scale. So the commission had to act under those circumstances fast to sell. So there was an order for the cattle to be taken, inventory to be taken and sell. I remember we went there, I brought in gynaecos from all the way from Nyamina. They came and then they were running after these cows, holding them, tagging each one of them. And there were about 700 or so that were tagged. At that time. Yes. So when we did the tagging already, obviously by the time we finished, you know, the next step was to organize an open, transparent sale. Before that, a night before that, I got a call, right? From who? Yeah, I got a call from the lawyers, lawyers in the commission, that, oh, this order that you guys are acting on cannot proceed. We made it, but it can't proceed. There is another order in the ministry that is supposed to organize the sale. By then, we have done a systematic, methodological, way of recording and accounting for the cattle that we can see. So obviously it stopped there, and then they went and organized the sale. When I saw the sale, I was a bit disappointed because it is nothing personal for me. It's not my property, it's the government property. All I'm interested in is to make sure that things go in order for the benefit of the taxpayer. But the sale was done, the inventory was done cattle by cattle. Like if you number them up to 700, then you know that number 3 is estimated to be weighed this according to the veterinary, right? Number 5 is weight and valued at this. But when the sale was done, right, taken from us and done by the ministry, I witnessed just a slight moment of it. And what I saw was not selling according to maybe one by one.
How were they selling it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible that some of them were sold like a whole herd. How do they call it? Corral, right? You take a whole corral and then you say, this is...
Like maybe sell 10 to one
yes,
person?
10 to one
instead
person,
of how
and then you group them together instead
yes.
of checking the details.
Because you had like maybe cow number 1007,
yeah.
45,000.
Yes.
Cow number this 65,000.
Yes.
And then when it was sold,
yeah.
it was like angro. You were angro like yabe kafunyoma.
Exactly. Yabe kafunyoma ya korending ta ego nying korending nga wafi karma. So of course I don't know. I didn't know the buyers who were the buyers. I didn't stay for the whole process.
Yeah, but then before we go to the buyers, I was going to check. So the first agreement that you all had at the commission, it was that do an inventory, and this is what they weigh, and this is how much it should cost. Yeah. And then a phone call came to say that, no, we're not going to do that. An order came. Yeah. But going by the way you were working there, did it allow, the provisions, did it allow that it can change? Like a phone call can just come in and then change the whole...
those were some of the things which happened because I'm trying to explain to you the circumstances that led to me leaving the commission.
I'm just trying to make sure that I understand if it was okay, if it was
no, it wasn't okay at all, Fatu, yes. Because you see, if the commission is issuing an order to take inventory and to sell before they get lost, they must have known that there was a pending legal issue at the ministry before making this order. So, because they're part of the system, they should have known this. So why wait until that moment, just before this, the sale was supposed to, transparent sale was to be done, to intervene the day before, to intervene and then to pass it back to the ministry and say, now you sell it, when they have not been involved in doing the background work to document. That I found strange and very inexcusable at that moment.
Do you know, for instance, the 700 cattle, it wasn't exactly 700, was it?
No, it wasn't 700, 700 plus, yeah.
Yeah, 700 and some.
Yeah.
So maybe on your list, you had maybe a few millions. Yeah. I'm sure you will have, at the end of the day, how much would it cost to sell all of them?
Yeah.
And then did you know, after the sales, how much was made for the cattle?
Yeah, I mean,
was it more money or less money?
I think there is a report I saw somewhere that about 8 million was made from the sale of
what you had, was it 8 million, more or less?
No, it's more than, obviously, it's more than 8 million because what we had, the valuers did a valuation, right? And they usually take the lowest possible value. They call it the meat value of the cow. Now, this is very technical and you have to understand it simply like this. If you want to sell this house, right, you really, or you want to sell your business, let's say your TV station, you can come and say, okay, how much this camera costs, how much that camera, how much, you count the cameras and say, okay, since they are 5,000, 15,000 is the value of all the cameras and the equipment, so Fatu Networks should sell for 15,000. No, the real value of the company as a continuing business could be 10 or 100 times more than that. So in accounting, we have what we call the disposal value, right, or the dissolution value of a property or the continuing value of it. So if you're selling the cattle, you value it based on the meat value, for example. You say this cow will have 100 kilograms of meat. So in the market, 100 kilograms. That's the lowest value. But as a cattle, maybe ninsi. You understand?
Yeah,
ninsi 50 kilo le bala. Ninsi koto fananta 50 kilo le bala. 50 kilo, abebe kala the same price le kodi. But say ninsi yero ni be wafila. If you are selling a cow and you know this one can give birth, obviously the value will be several times multiplied by that.
You can have more
Understand?
cows.
Or if it is a special value type of most of them are very special. Some are from Brazil, Brazilian breeds, different. Yes, so you have these huge cows. So those ones troll them. I understand. So Nibe in a real value it should be more than the book value. So if the valuers say maybe it's about 10 million or 15 million, you understand what I mean? The real value can go up to 30 million. Both for this is the same way for the vehicles, it's the same way for the properties.
So now everything was sold for 8 million.
So now everything was sold for 8 million. Obviously, that is very much on the low side. But obviously, you have to look at the process. Even for a process, you know, and that disconnection.
So they were not sold like how it was supposed to be, how it was.
No, it was supposed to be an auction, transparent.
So
process.
Do you know who bought them?
No, I have no idea.
Did you leave before when they were sold, or you were still there, but there was no list?
Once they come to us and say, if they let me run the show, or not me, but the commission run the show with the team. The commission has a huge team, policemen, detectives, right? People from the Attorney General, people from the other ministries. There was a huge team that was responsible. If we had run it, we would have been able to know, right, who bought what at that time, or it would have been a transparent process. But when you transfer it to the ministry, that's the last time I heard about what happened until after the commission. But why is it that the people cannot
know who bought this cattle?
Yeah, because...
Why is it a problem?
Because the people who have the information don't want to tell. So this was just one step. The same thing, you have the vehicles. The vehicles, I think, what happened in the cattle was almost the same thing that happened in the vehicles. So then I saw a pattern of backdoor hands trying to intervene in the work of the commission, which could even be people working within the commission. Because I told you in the cattle, the last minute before the sale, they stopped it and went and gave it to the ministry to sell it without any transparent process. You understand? The vehicles, almost similar. Yajam's vehicles were taken, the inventory was taken.
Who took them, you? A different person?
When he left. When he left, there was a vehicle controls department always in the office of the president.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, they took an inventory of all the vehicles he left behind, right? And the commission also went in to look at these vehicles in the State House. They went to look at the vehicles in Kanilai, the vehicles in other places, the tractors and so on. So they had these things packed in different places. So there was an inventory. The same issue with the cattle. When the vehicle is packed for 2 months, 3 months, how long can it stand? It will depreciate.
Yes, of course.
You understand?
Yes.
So, and the commission is taking 2 years. If Jumale Bela Motor Londila for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Right? And you don't sell it. That's not possible. It will depreciate. Sama Binale, tractors don't have cover like the other things, road vehicles. So they were depreciating. So the policeman came and said, look, there is a loss that is being incurred. You need to go do something about these things because the commission has kept them while investigation is going on for 2 years. Something needs to be done. So the commission came up. I was not part of the decision making. I'm not a commissioner. They make the decision.
Yes.
And they give it to me to implement it. I cannot say, go and do this, go and take that, stop, arrest this vehicle, park it there, right, sell it. No, I never have that power. I only wait when they make a decision, they come to me and tell me this is what we want you to do. So they came to me and said, oh, here is the tractors, here is an order. We want you to go and organize an open sale before these tractors get depreciated, get lost, or parts get stolen and other things. But this, just like in the cows also, when we want to start implementing, right, the moment we start implementing, people came. Normally, when they want to give you this order, they will not write. You give me a written order. But when you want to stop me, you don't write. You call me or you come and face me, but you're not writing. You see, that's always a problem.
Were these people
in
the commission?
People came, yeah.
Were they in the commission?
When the tractors, when the vehicles are categories.
The people who were making the calls, trying to change the stuff, were they serving in the commission? Some people in the commission, some people outside the commission, in the State House, right? So, but what happens is that when the vehicles are two categories, the tractors are different
from the other vehicles that Janneh had. You had Rolls Royces parked in the State House and the other vehicles parked in Kanilai. The tractors, when the rain was coming, 2018, right? Rainy season is supposed to start in July. I remember the rain started around July 25th. Some months before, they made the decision that something should be done because farmers need the tractors. So people who want to buy these tractors should have. Those who some had bought it from Janneh, return it to them. But those who are owned by Janneh, let us to see what can be done. The commission made recommendation, this and this should be sold. I am only there to execute. But when we go into execute, that's when people come and from the State House. I remember the cabinet secretary came and met me.
Secretary to cabinet.
Yeah, secretary to the cabinet.
To cabinet
yeah, that was Cisse. Yeah, he came and then said to me, you know, okay, you are the one running the sale, which is ADC. I said, yeah. He said to me, okay, we want you to stop. I said, oh, but I have a written order from the commission, and you asking me to stop? He said, yes, we're asking you to stop. I said, the order is from me. I said, from the top. If a cabinet secretary to the cabinet tells you the order is from the top, he don't tell me who, whether it's the cabinet or the president. He just tell me from the top. I said, look, sir, I don't take verbal instructions. Right. If you want me to stop what I'm doing is based on something written. If you want me to stop what I'm doing, just write to me, right? And then I would stop what I am doing. So he wasn't prepared to do that. He left. But obviously before that, I knew there were interests. There were political interests. There were people who were in politics. There were people who were in commission connected to other people in politics. And they were interested in some of these vehicles. So, but the commission had designed, they told me, we want a transparent auction. That's what the instruction they gave me. Meaning that go out there, call the whole public, let everybody come and say, here is tractor number 1. Somebody say, I'll say pay 5,000. The other one say, I'll pay 10,000, 20, 30, 40. Give it to the highest bidder. That's my instruction. So when I went out, that's what we started doing. The first day, the second day, that's when, or the third day, that's when they came and asked us to do this. But I realized that they were interested in some of these vehicles at that time.
Both the tractors and the other vehicles?
Yes, the tractors and the other vehicles. The other vehicles, nobody was, only tractors that we were started selling. Yes. The other vehicles were in inventory, they were in how do you call it, in the State House and Kanilai and other places. Nobody had touched them. So, but even that also, I was aware that some people within the government were trying to sell them, in the Ministry of Finance, for example, while the commission was investigating. I was asked to go and find out why they were trying to sell, why the commission was investigating. And people say, you know, we don't know, so-and-so tell me to do this. People make laws, and those who even make these laws, right, watch them be, let's say, trampled on without any excuse.
So who ended up buying the tractors?
Yeah, big question. Because when there were almost, let's say, 500 to 600 tractors or more. And that is Mahindra and the John Deere through the Indian government, right? When we opened an auction, the first few days before they came from top and stopped us, there were only about 40 tractors gone. Where? 40. What we opened auction. Yes. What we did in the open auction.
Oh, so you already started selling
them? Yeah, we already started an open auction.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very successful open auction.
Oh, wow.
Because I remember we asked the valuer to value the tractors. And we also find out the new price of the tractors on the inner market. So the idea was sell the tractors instead of leaving them there, keep the money, right? And then whatever the government wants to do, buy new tractors, whatever later.
And how much were you selling them? Were they all the same price?
That's where I'm coming.
Yes.
There was, sometimes one single story can explain the whole thing, right? The valuer would say, okay, tractor is valued at 100,000. The new tractor, maybe we check, is about 400,000 or 500,000 at that time. When the open auction came, some of these tractors sold far more than their new value, and they were second-hand because rainy season was coming. Yes, I remember an incident, a businessman came to me, some people brought him and said to me, I'm interested in a tractor. I told him, no, you have to go to the open auction. People come to you because they want you to make deals behind the scenes so that when you go to the auction, you will favor them, or you will not even put that item on the auction. I didn't accept. And I remember this guy was telling me, a famous businessman telling me, Alaji, if I want, I can go on top of you. I can go people higher than you.
And get
these machines. I say, well, you can go. Go to people higher than me. But as far as I'm in charge, you must come to the open auction. And you know what happened? When we went to the open auction, some of the things that some of these guys were eyeing, they were eyeing. An example, a tractor in Kanilai, I sold it for 1.2 million. One tractor. Yes, and it was valued as about 600,000, a new one, and it was the second one. But it was an open bidding, and they were competing among themselves. If I had done deal with them behind the scenes, they could get it for a fraction of that price. So this was an example of what happened with the tractors at that time. But the commission came in. People came from outside, and with the commission, the interest, the political interest, and said, oh, this must stop. And you know when they stopped, what happened? They kept these tractors there. The rainy season came and met them there. Because they hijacked the whole situation, they could not do anything until months later in October. Can you imagine, from July, August, September, October, November? That is when they started selling them. By then, some have stolen, some have this. And I saw in the Justice Minister's report, he said, oh, Janneh's vehicles will receive 67 million to 77 million. That's scandalous.
That's not true.
That's very scandalous, Fatu. No. Can you imagine? I'll give you one example. I was in the commission, and a lawyer came and told the commissioners that there is an Arab man that is interested in a Janneh's Rolls Royce.
Yeah, the Phantom.
And the Rolls Royce, the man is prepared to pay $1 million. Rolls Royce has no price, you know that. Yes. It has no price. It can cost $10 million, $5 million, or $500,000. But this case, the lawyer said to the commission in my presence that the Arab man is supposed to pay $1 million, prepared to pay $1 million for one vehicle. $1 million is about $67 million. Yes. So how can the Justice Minister come and say all the vehicles, including that Rolls Royce, got the commission 67 million, when one vehicle could have got
so that 67 million.
So this is how they wanted me to leave the commission. Yes. Because they know whilst I'm there, that's not going to happen.
So you mean all the vehicles, the tractors and all the other cars, everything was 67? The
tractors alone could have generated $200 million. The luxury vehicles could have generated another $200 million.
That would be
we're talking about almost $500 million we could have got from the vehicles.
So everything ended up
67 million. What a scandal. That is what it cost when I left the commission. So this is what happens in it. This is why people don't even want you to talk about this, because so many people benefited from this very, very, very cheap way of doing business.
What happened to the landed properties?
What happened to the landed properties? The same story. Well, when I was there, no action was taken on the landed properties. I witnessed the commission documenting all the landed properties that Janneh had all over the country, the leased and the unleased properties. I think I saw the official report of the commission. They said they investigated about 266 landed properties, but they themselves admitted that even at the time they were submitting the report, properties were being discovered. And some people say even today, properties are being discovered. So it was in the hundreds, vehicles, properties for Janneh. And some of these were very, very valuable properties. So when I saw the report, and they said, the Justice Minister said, $1 billion is what they recovered from the sale of 40 properties. Or 44 properties. Yeah, I saw that report. That's one of the reports to the National Assembly. So 44 properties, $1 billion. And there were 200 or 300 plus properties. So you understand? What happened to the rest is the big question, right? And then 1 billion. Look, one property can sell for $500 million. Some of the properties of Janneh. So you sell 44 and you're only telling me 1 billion. No, that also is a scandal. That is not acceptable. I think people are saying, oh, who are the names and names? That's important, but that's not the whole thing. The amount is scandalous, Fatu. 1 billion. Yahya Jammeh's properties, no property of Yahya Jammeh was cheap. All the properties are high-valued properties. Where is the transparency? This is supposed to be a very transparent process of handling the sale and disposal of the properties. Forget about the cattle. Forget about the vehicles. That's chicken change. The properties was the biggest scandal of all.
So what happened to the gold, the diamonds, the personal belongings, the jewelry? Because I saw somewhere that there was gold, but then I think the commission or the government said there was no gold. But there were diamonds that belonged to the First Lady, the then First Lady. Do we know what happened to those?
Well, we did some of the items that were collected when Janneh left, both in the State House and in Kanilai. The police brought them, and we had them. I had custody of some of the things that are documented, and they are there. They are reported. There was bracelets for, I think, for the First Lady, purposely belonging to the First Lady. Janneh had golden guns. I had that. I've seen it.
Golden guns.
Yeah, I've seen 2 golden guns. I took inventory of them and then pass it on when I was leaving the commission. And there were some other personal effects, like maybe souvenirs, gold souvenirs, a few coins. And then there were also watches that were gold watches. All these were documented and reported.
Really nice watches, because I saw Janneh had platinum watches and stuff.
Yes, so these things were there. So these were reported, you understand, and they were documented. I saw also when we went there, I think that's also on some videos, I saw ivory in Janneh's bedroom. Yes, Janneh had there was a huge stock of ivory.
Ivory, what like Samola?
Samanu. But these were treated. When they treat it, means they took it to the factory, they designed them. So this was in Janneh's toilet, huge stock like this. We took.
Where are those stuff?
We couldn't. At that moment, nobody carried it. It was there, right? I don't know where is that. It must be very valuable, also. Yeah, I don't know where it is.
And you don't know where the chains and the watches and
the watches,
golden guns.
The commission reported them in the commission. They were reported. But obviously, I don't know what happened to them.
Did you see the report? Did it say where they are on the report?
No, I didn't see where they gone in the report. I haven't seen that.
They didn't mention them in the report?
I haven't seen that in the report. Unless I miss it somewhere and somebody can show me. But I haven't seen where those personal effects, like the golden gun, where it gone, the necklace, or etc.
The ivory.
The ivory, I have no idea what happened to them.
But well, this is very serious. Like, you were in there, and I know there were a lot of lawyers there. How about if they come after you and sue you and said, oh, we did not do anything wrong? Well, everything that we did was what was supposed to be done.
Well, how are they going to sue me for? Everybody in the country has seen that they have done something wrong.
But they're insisting they haven't done anything wrong.
Well,
they said there was a report, and people in Gambia wanted to know the names of the people that bought the landed property, the names of the people that bought the cars, and everything, but they wouldn't disclose them.
You see, Gambia made one mistake in 2016. After we removed Janneh, we think that lawyers know everything. The transitional justice, that they should do. That they should do. But organizing sales, documenting and recording and accounting for them, they never went to the field. They just look at these books. So what happened was, why I made this statement is, I'm not a lawyer, I'm an accountant. And that's why I'm brought to the commission. We were executing, I'm also an entrepreneur, we were executing things according to best practices. They interfered. You understand? So most of the people who interfered were lawyers. You understand? In that process, And that interference brought a lot of inefficiency. How they handle the cattle's big loss. The landed properties, the vehicles, big loss. The landed properties, big loss. I wouldn't say they have the intelligence to do it. Yes, I agree. They have this experience to do it. Yes, I agree. But are they the best to do it under those circumstances?
But don't you think, too, that maybe they would say, okay, we don't want to keep these things here and make them expensive that nobody would be, would afford to buy them? Could that be, maybe that's why all the vehicles ended up being 67 million? Maybe sell them.
Yeah, Fatu, when they were selling the vehicles, I'm sure you like nice vehicles. Did you see the advertisement of the vehicles? No, that there is a Rolls Royce being sold and this is the price?
No, I didn't.
Or did you attend an auction that says that this Rolls Royce was bidded for and so bid 1 million, another person bid 2 million? No. When I was there, whatever I sell, I must announce to the whole world and everybody must witness and it must be bidded until the last bidder. I did that. When they are selling a Rolls Royce, where was it bidded? Where did we hear that a Rolls Royce was bidded for?
Where the Rolls Royce?
And
Maybe they are not
I don't
sold.
know. Some of the machines they went to politicians.
What machines?
Some of the tractors.
Politicians?
They
bought them?
Some of the
They bought
bulldozers.
them.
Well, some went
Did
to
they buy them?
I'm not sure. I don't think some were bought. I think some just went to
So
politicians.
there's these allegations too about the cattle. Ahmad Ba bought the cattle, but he said he did not buy any cattle. He made it clear.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that because I did not conduct any sales of cattle. I didn't participate.
Yeah,
in the
when
sale
the
of
phone call came in, so
when
it
the phone
was-
call came in, it went right, and I didn't see him buying any vehicle because the vehicles I only know about 10% of the tractors.
You know, I'm just being the devil advocate here because
Yeah.
the people that were in the commission, I know these people to be very credible.
Yeah.
This is why I'm saying maybe they gave them out of the giveaway to kind of like maybe sell them and get rid of them
I
quickly.
believe my strongest suspicion is that some of them went to maybe people who are directly involved.
Where? In the commission?
In the commission and also in the government, in the ministries.
When you sign the agreement or when you receive a letter to say you're going to be working with them, did it say there's a conflict for you to buy anything or that was open? You can buy anything, like were you allowed to buy?
No, I mean, when you say it's a sale, my position was, when it's a sale, anybody can participate.
So it didn't
So
restrict
I
any
think
other
that
commissioners.
is the reason why they didn't want people like us who said everybody must come to the open place and participate. I think they wanted a situation in which when they announce that it is a sale, they announce that it's a transparent sale, but maybe they withdraw certain things from the sale before the time, or during the sale, right, they just keep reserve prices or make it low or don't even bring some items in it. I think that's what and sell it to friends
That's
or sell it to
strange.
relatives. This is the only way, because if you watch this cattle, vehicles, and the landed properties, nothing is transparent.
You're not even mentioning the personal effects.
Yes, the personal
golden
effects,
guns and
exactly,
stuff.
the necklace and so on. Nothing is transparent. I didn't see any full transparency in how they execute it. And that is why the money is so small compared to what it could have
So
gained
do
the Gambia.
you think that people who were directly working with the commission were buying some of these things?
Well, I am not sure about that, but it is quite possible that people related or connected to other people who are running the show, right, are able to get the properties.
Like you buy in my name.
Yeah, it happens in
That
so many ways. You
know
buy
what you're
in somebody's name, or somebody comes in and say, okay, I'm coming, and
Do you think
negotiate
maybe
the price.
the MP knows something? That's why he's pushing this really hard?
Yeah, every reasonable Gambian should have some reasonable amount of suspicion. There were some people who in 2018, they were with the Barrow government. When I wrote my protest and so on, and I was asked by the president to leave, they were jubilating that, yes, the Kurang is just causing trouble, let him go. Those same people today are asking for accountability of the assets. I mean, at that time, was the time for accountability? It's too late now, right? Now we can only make noise and get information unless there is a change of government, right? But they know already what was happening. So the transparency and this Gambian thing of keeping it under the carpet, and anybody who wants to expose it, even if it's for the... When the Batambedu called me and I went to his office, I thought that when we started the transparent process of the tractors, he must have realized that, oh, the government can make good revenue from this transparent process and use this revenue to pay for some of the debts that we are crying over that Janneh has taken. But then I realized that that was not his focus. He didn't even care about that. So when I saw later how the ministry handled some of these activities together with the commission, right, I mean, I got disappointed, but in a way also I'm not surprised that it went that way.
Well, very, very unfortunate situation. I will try to have an interview with some other members of the commission and maybe try to have the MP himself and try to see what he knows. Maybe he knows something that I don't know. I would also be good to talk to him, but very unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
And now this is coming, it's like in the newspapers every day, people are asking. Maybe, like, a lot of people thought that would be it for the commission. Nobody would mention it again. I don't know why all of a sudden it's coming back.
No, it has to come back because it's when we were asked to investigate Janneh, and somebody asked me, I said, how much do you think we're looking for? I said, maybe $1 billion. And, you know, it was like, oh, that time you are crazy. But later, as we go on in the investigation, you know, people, even that person who disputed me, agreed that it could have been $1 billion we were asking for. $1 billion is not. So how can you be looking for $1 billion, right? And after you finish, you say, well, we collected $1 billion, say, right? $1 billion is about $60 to $70 billion. You only come up with $1 billion, say, from the assets and so on that you tell Gambian people, I took everything. This is what I said. So it didn't match, right? Anybody who is participating, whether it's a lawyer or whatever, they can come and tell me it was transparent and the amount is a fair value of what they should have earned. I don't think anybody will have the guts to do that.
No, I'm looking at you, right? Is he angry that he had to leave at some point? And maybe that's why, but really, this really happened?
No, it's not anger. It
You're
was
not
completely
angry
different.
with the...
It was completely different from anger. Why would I be angry at that time? I mean, that was what they always used at the time. Some people were on the media saying, oh, he's angry. He's got grudges. I mean, no. When you swear...
So did you try to buy something yourself and then maybe they wanted it transparent and you got angry about that?
I was never interested in buying anything. I was never interested in buying a single cow. I was never interested in buying a single vehicle. I was never interested in buying a single property.
Were they kind of like in groups and then you felt left out, that you are not in the group and that kind of anger you?
No, it wasn't like that. I think what was happening is, as a secretary, they put you in charge. Sometimes in this country, they put you in charge simply because you will do what they want you to do. So when I felt that they put me in charge, obviously because, as a secretary, it was my responsibility. But when I took the responsibility to execute, I saw that they wanted to come behind me to manipulate what I do. In the end, obviously, it will be like using me to do the dirty job. You understand? And I don't think that was why I was there. I wasn't there for that, and I wasn't taking it. So I wasn't angry, but I felt sorry for the country because I knew nobody was prepared to listen at that time. If I say at that time, oh, from the sale of the cattle, sale of the vehicles, the Gambia stands to lose $500 million, say, people say he's talking about crazy things. They won't even, the noise was too much for even anybody to listen to me. Nobody ever did this detailed interview for 5 years. To me, nobody asked me questions. Some people were even scared to ask me questions. Why? Some journalists were even running away from me because it was too wild to say anything. Right? They knew what the problem. In this country, people control information. People are on the social media talking about irrelevant things.
This platform
but nobody wants.
It's open for you to speak, and then I will try to reach out to some of them too.
Yes, nobody.
If they want to come, they're all welcome.
So if I had tell somebody at that time, we lose $500 million in vehicles and maybe cattle, and then we have lost maybe billions and billions in landed properties because of the way they are handled. Nobody will look at me.
What am I missing?
Yes,
is he missing something?
Exactly. But anybody who dispute me, bring a pen. Let's go through the landed properties right now and then check them. Let's go through the vehicles, the inventory of the vehicles, and tell me it should be 67 million when one Rolls Royce can be 67 million.
I'm thinking maybe they didn't sell. Maybe they're like some there until now.
Yeah,
they will sell later.
We hear a lot of rumors. Properties cannot lie. Property doesn't go away. You know, we know that properties exchange hands, you know, in different ways, and we know that people see the vehicles. People know vehicles don't get lost. They drive around, you know, and people see where the cattle have gone.
We really don't want to vindicate Janneh.
Yeah, actually, because I think Janneh amassed so much amount of ill-gotten wealth that it would have been an opportunity for the Gambia. If we were really genuine about transition, then we should have been able to use that as a way of helping the economy. But I think the transition was taken advantage of. That's my deep feeling, that people who knew very well what was happening, some of them who worked with Janneh, right, at the time, and they knew about these issues, took advantage and, made the Gambia lose billions.
Well, that's a very unfortunate situation. I mean, these are people that we all trust a lot, and this interview is not going to end here. Like I said, they are very credible people. I would like to hear more from them as well, because that would be fair, at least to also hear their side of the story. If we only knew the people that bought the landed property, the cattle, we would have, want to have them join us here to talk to us about it, but the names are not released and nobody knows who they are. And it's not like they did anything wrong. I don't know why. Why do you think the names are not out? Is it like kind of protecting them? Is there a problem naming them, or what?
I think the names are not out simply because it was intransparent. I think if the process was transparent, the sale was transparent, everything is above the table, I think there would not have been any problem of publishing the names.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kurang. Is there anything else you would like to say before you go? I think this interview, is 60 minutes already, but we haven't even talked about a lot of other stuff. The people that were pardoned by the president, I know the white paper said that was possible, and then they went to the National Assembly, and the president has the power to do that now. But with that as well, there are talks on the side that it should not have been done. But we will talk about all of this in another interview. I will contact you again to see if you're free. But before you go right now, is there anything else that you would want to say?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Like you said, some of these are inconvenient because Gambia is a small country. When you talk about stolen money, and you try to follow stolen money, I remember when we were in the commission, we used to say, no, man, buguma ñu fafa mbayma, right? Meaning that in 1981, he was an investigator, and then he became the investigated. So in this country, you can be an investigator, you can be a journalist following the truth, and you can be the victim, right, of that. So it's very brave of you to dig into this and start asking. And I think it's relevant. People think it will go away now. This will be here for 20 years because the issue, it needs to be here. And I think it should be here for any government that's coming in the future. These are mindful things because the Gambia is suffering economically right now. And there is no way that we're going to clean this up. They're shouting Sonko, Dumai, and so on. But transparency is the fundamental thing. If you are not prepared for people to talk about you and what you did, and you did it, are you prepared? Are you prepared for change? You're not prepared for change. To be prepared for the kind of change that we are asking for, number one thing is transparency.
Well, thank you very much. It's really nice having you on the 60 Minutes with Fatu. And that's all in this edition of the 60 Minutes with Fatu and Mamadi Kurang. This interview ends right here. We'll bring you more interviews next week, inshallah.